All right, so we're back. This will be part two of many, I imagine, videos going down the road. And we were still talking basically, we were still covering, growing up in Coppercliff and your hobbies. You were talking about your bike. Um, what did Grandpa, your dad, do for fun? I mean, okay, let's start with work. So what did he do for work specifically at Inco?
He did Inco. He did Inco, and he did all kinds of stuff around the house, repairs and renovations and stuff.
Yeah,
His biggest thing was curling in the winter. He
yeah,
loved to go curling, and he was gone most weekends in the winter, gone curling somewhere in around northern Ontario, various
okay.
bonspiels and stuff. And it's amazing. He always came home with some kind of prize. It was a toaster or a kettle or a barometer, which I have upstairs in our bedroom on
Yeah,
the wall. Barometer, thermometer, and biggest thing he came home was a electric mix master with all the accessories for my mother.
oh, she must
That
have
was
loved
a,
that.
that was a big deal. Oh yeah, she wore that thing out baking,
Yeah,
doing her baking stuff.
yeah,
And so that was his winter activities. Summer activities was the camp, Windy
like
Lake.
the Windy Lake, eh?
Windy Lake. Well, he did gardening in the spring, and over the summer we tended the gardens, and I had to work at the garden, doing weeding and stuff.
What did you grow in the garden?
Oh, we grow carrots, peas, onions. We tried corn one time, didn't work very well
Yeah.
because of the atmosphere in Coppercliff burned the leaves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mostly root vegetables. They work pretty good.
So I'm
And,
curious, was it like pollution that was burning the leaves, or was it just too
well,
hot?
yeah, the sulfur gas in Coppercliff, depending when the wind is blowing, you get the sulfur gas from the smelter, and if you had a rainy day, you got sulfuric acid.
Yeah.
So that really killed the leaves, let me tell you.
So when did
So,
they build the solution to that was to build the big stack, wasn't it?
well, that was part of the solution. Yeah, get rid of some of that stuff, but you still had a lot of ground level, you know, sulfur sulfur dioxide. It was. I remember when I was working in the smelter, we ran around with a gas mask on all the time.
Okay.
I didn't want to breathe that stuff.
Okay. So so when you're saying grandpa basically did Inco, what can you be a little more specific? Do you have any information on that? Was
Well, I
he
think he started off in the smelter
in the
as a
smelter?
laborer,
Okay.
and he shoveled niter cake, which is one of their materials they use in their process. And he and another guy, they get these big gondola cars in there loaded with niter cake, and
Okay.
it was their job to shovel this stuff out of the car and somewhere and get that done by the end of the shift.
So that was backbreaking labor, so to speak.
Back breaking labor, and boy,
Yeah.
Grandpa could out shovel anybody. Let me tell you,
No kidding, eh?
when we were mixing cement at Windy Lake, Grandpa could still, wield that shovel, and I'm telling you, I couldn't keep up to him. It was
No kidding.
amazing,
What?
amazing. That was one of his first jobs, and then after that, he got over to the copper refinery and to the warehousing department. They were looking after the warehousing materials, coming in materials, and checking them and stocking them and stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, he went into the time office, where they kept track of the employees' times, checked their time cards, punch cards in and out, and catalog their time for payment.
So bookkeeping.
That kind of, but like bookkeeping kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then from there, in the '60s, when remember sales tax when it came in, you might know
That's before me.
that.
That's
That's
before me.
before.
Yeah,
That's
I was
before
born in
you. Anyway,
72.
we remember that very well. That was a bad thing,
Okay.
and it's still a bad thing.
Why?
Anyway,
Why? What happened exactly?
sales tax. Well, they put sales tax on everything.
Oh, sales tax. Okay. Okay.
Sales tax, and then
Yeah.
they put a goods and services tax on top of that.
Yep.
So you had to pay for a tax on the labor, which was attached to everything. And every time somebody did something to a product, the
Yep.
tax increased.
Yeah, well, now we
because
have the
you had a,
carbon tax. So every time you
yeah,
breathe
well, all car,
while
don't go there, Andre.
yeah,
Carbon tax.
well,
We don't go there.
I know.
This is the only sales tax and the
Yep.
goods and services. So everything when you build something, every time you add an operation onto that build of that product, you add a tax on it. So you
Yeah.
got a tax on a tax on a tax. That's how Canada works now.
Yep. Oh, it's
So
horrible.
anyway, it's that's why we're taxed more than anybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when that came in, he got an opportunity to go to the general office in Coppercliff, which was the head office where everything ran from in
Yeah.
Coppercliff. And he was appointed the person in charge of sale tax
Oh, okay.
for the Ontario division, which was Port Colborne, Sudbury, and that those all the Sudbury areas and Port Colborne, which is Ontario division. So anyway, so that was a big deal. He got a good promotion over that, and he did well at that job. And that's the job that he had until he retired.
Yeah.
And he retired, I think around 1975. I'm pretty sure. I got pictures of his retirement, some slides actually, his retirement and some of his old cronies that he grew up with and worked with.
So your older brother, sorry, I just questioned. Your older brother Ron went into accounting.
He did, yes. He
And
actually he went into engineering first at
he did?
Queens.
Yeah.
Went into engineering and he flunked. And he flunked engineering.
Was he influenced down the accounting road from your dad, do you think?
Not, I don't think so.
No?
I really don't think so. I don't know. We really didn't pay too much attention to what our dad did.
Yeah.
At work. I had no idea what he did at work until later years.
Yeah.
And I don't think that didn't influence me at all. That's for sure. But he was Ron was he found out he wasn't good at engineering, but he was good at math and figures and calculating and stuff. And so he decided to go into accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And he did an apprenticeship, and it worked out very well for him.
That's good to hear. Success stories are good. I had a question for you. Basically, going back to the when you were fixing up the bicycles, where did you get the tools? Were they your dad's?
Yeah, Grandpa had the tools, and every Christmas I'd ask for different tools, like in the catalogs. Eaton's and Sears catalogs came out, and Canadian Tire had catalogs. So you'd see the different tools in there, and they'd say, "Oh, well, Jack, like one of these for Christmas, or a set of these." I still got some of those original tools that I got for Christmas.
Yeah.
Down in my basement here, I can show them to you. One year I got Grandpa did some work on a car at one time. He bought a few pieces of a socket set, and then one year I said I could use a socket set, so I got a nice Craftsman set of socket sets from Sears. I still have it here.
Yeah.
I still use it all the time.
Yeah. So what was your favorite?
60 years later, I still use it.
You know what? If they're built to last, they're built to last, right?
Well, guaranteed. Like the same with Canadian Tire stuff. If I break a socket, I just take it down there and they give me a new one.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice. I got to admit, I went a long time without a socket set, and then finally decided to pick one up. And again, it's kind of those moments like, Jesus, why didn't I do this before?
Oh yeah. Well, they're very handy. There's no question about that. They're very universal. Anyway, so I got a couple of those, and that's where I started off. I got one of those, and at first I just started with like a basic open end wrench set, like 6 or so wrenches, and basically that started with. And then I got electric drill. Well, boy, that was a game changer. An electric drill. Whoa!
Did it have the end pieces basically for the screwdriver?
Oh no, none of that stuff.
None of that stuff, eh?
No, that hadn't been invented yet.
Okay.
Oh, none of that. No. Just a basic drill. You had drill bits you put in, and you had a gear chuck where you had to take the key and then tighten the chuck.
Yep.
And there was only single speed and a 1/4 inch. Like none of this 1/2 inch stuff.
Was that a Christmas present?
That was my Christmas present one year. Yeah, an
No kidding, eh?
electric drill.
So what did you do
I'm
with it?
telling you, well, hey, I did everything with it. I drilled, and in fact, for a Canadian Terror, I bought a stand for it. I could clamp this thing in the stand and make a drill press.
No
Well,
kidding.
tell me all about it.
I'm looking for
That was-
something like that. I gotta look
you
around
can
for
still
something.
get them. You can still
Can,
get
eh?
them at Princess Auto. Yeah,
Princess Auto. I have to check that
Princess
out.
Auto. Yeah, they still make those things. I can't believe it. I
I
saw that in their catalog not too long ago.
you know what? I think I know what I'm doing this afternoon.
Well, there you go. Anyway,
Yeah.
that or Canadian Tire might sell. I don't know. I haven't seen them at Canadian Tire. Princess Auto, they had them in the catalog, a couple of weeks ago.
Well, there's one
But
down
anyway,
I'll have to go look for that. Definitely. Thank you. That's a good.
so anyway, man, that was my first little drill press. But now I
Yeah.
got I got a 12-inch drill press I've had for years and years. After we got married and bought our first home,
Yeah.
that's one of the first things I bought was a drill press. I had a workbench. I got a grinder and a drill press. And I had a bunch of other stuff after that.
So
Now
you
it's mostly I just hand tools now. I still got the grinder and the drill press, but everything else is hand tools, like
Yeah.
the 18-volt DeWalt set. I got basically every 18-volt tool that they made. But now 18-volt is obsolete. They've gone to 20-volt lithium ion, which I don't like. And I've got the old oh dear, what do they call that? Not lithium ion. It's the old generation. Anyway, but
Yeah.
I got over the years I bought lots of batteries, so I'm good for a while. I don't think I'm going to run out of batteries anytime soon. But I like those tools; they're handy, and I got 2 or 3 sets of those.
Yeah.
Like the drill and the impact tool, I got 3 or 4 sets of those, so I'm not going to run out of them anytime soon.
So when you were
But when I
fixing,
retired, I got my boss asked me, "What do you want the company to buy you for retirement?" And I looked at the various catalogs of suppliers. I said, "Oh, I want this 18-volt DeWalt circular saw and drill combination." And that was $900 back then. That's a lot of money.
did they get it for you?
Oh yeah, I came into work one morning and there it was sitting on my desk.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
That's
And guess what?
appreciation for you.
Guess 25 years later, Andre, I still have that stuff.
Good for you.
And it still works.
Yeah, DeWalt makes really good stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. Like those things still work. Those 2 pieces that I got back then. So I'm happy with them.
So when you
So
were
anyway,
when you were working on the bikes and stuff, and again, this will probably carry over into high school. When did you get into cars?
well, basically, I helped Grandpa work on his cars. He did a few, like he did most of his own repairs. So
Yeah.
we did tinkering with cars, like not major stuff, but little tune-ups and stuff, changing spark plugs, and he
Okay.
taught me how the ignition works and stuff like that.
Do you remember his first car?
The first car that I remember we had was a 1931 Pontiac 4-door sedan.
Uh-huh.
It's quite old, and it had wire wheels on it, so it wasn't that old.
So it would have been 20 years old at that point,
31.
that car. Roughly.
Yeah, it was. We had that in the 50s.
Yeah.
In the mid 50s, we were still driving that car. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember it wouldn't run in the winter. It just wouldn't start. It was only 6-volt battery in it, so it would never run in the winter. So he would just drain the radiator, only put water in the rad, couldn't afford antifreeze.
Okay.
So he just drain the rad and drain the block. There was a petcock on the side of the engine. You just drain the water out and just let it sit over the winter.
Okay.
In the spring, fill it with water, charge up the battery if you had a battery charger, or take it down to the service station. They would charge it for you.
So it kind of implies that you weren't doing a lot of traveling in the winter.
Not much traveling, no.
No way.
Okay,
this is
very
gonna be
little traveling. We did didn't hardly even went to Sudbury on the bus.
Oh, the bus.
There was a bus from Sudbury that came into Coppercliff. We'd get on the bus and go to Sudbury and do what we had to do.
Okay.
But no, we didn't do any cars. Then the next car was a big upgrade. It was a 1940 Pontiac. It was an all steel body and actually had a trunk in the back that opened up and you could put stuff in it. And 4-door sedan and 6-cylinder again. But he didn't drive that much in the winter either, because that was still only 6-volt. The third car that I remember was a 1955 Pontiac. That was like a Cadillac to us. It was only 4 years old. It was almost like brand new.
Yeah.
Six-cylinder, 12 volt. It ran year round, and I learned to drive on that car.
Yeah.
Three in the tree, 3-speed shifter on the column.
Yep.
That's what we used to call 3 on the tree. And so I learned to drive on that, and that served us very well for a long time.
Okay, so this might be an odd question, but how prevalent was electricity in the household back in those days?
Oh, electricity! There's no problem with electricity. We had all
Yeah.
kinds of electricity.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Mind you, in the house in Coppercliff, the original panel was only 60 amps.
Okay.
So there was not a lot of electricity, and there were not a lot of outlets.
Yep.
And I know before Granny left the house, I had a friend from Inco come in and upgrade her service to 100 amps. And that made a big difference. Put all the original circuits on there and had a whole bunch of empty circuits. So we added all kinds of stuff into her house.
Yeah.
And that was a big upgrade. But it had to put up a new mast and a new connection to the hydro pole outside.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. Anyway,
No kidding.
I paid for that and got that done before Granny moved out of there.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. But yeah, we had 60 amps to play with at first, and not a lot. Like in my bedroom, I had a light hanging down from the ceiling on a cord, and we put a splitter on that, and we had a light bulb in one side, and it operated. There's no wall switches. It operated from the cord that came down from the ceiling. And originally in the attic, very scary. You had knob and tube wiring up there. You didn't have wiring like you have now, like in your basement. I can see a wire hanging down there.
Yep. Yeah.
You don't have wires like that. Before, there were 2 separate wires, and they came through the studs or the floor joists, and they had ceramic tubes that went through there, and the wires were separate. They were covered, mind you, copper wires, but with insulation. They ran through there, and that's called knob and tube.
Yeah.
But that's quite unsafe.
No,
but anyway,
that's
that's how the house was wired originally. But we basically had enough to get by. I had one plug for stuff in my bedroom. I had a radio up there one time. And one of my school teachers gave me a shortwave radio. It was AM plus shortwave.
Yeah.
And it was a nice little radio. And I used to listen to that all the time. I put an aerial outside the window, and I plugged that in. I could listen to that. I got heck for listening to it. At 10 o'clock at night, I was still listening to it. I was supposed to be going to bed. And there were no earphones, so what you heard is what you heard. Anyway, I listened to radio stations all over the world. That was really great. But then it was operated on tubes, and then the tubes became obsolete and couldn't get them anymore. So that went the way of the dodo bird.
Yeah.
Down to the dump. So anyway, too bad. But that was nice. But
so
anyway,
that was given to you by a teacher in elementary school, right?
Yeah, my grade 5 teacher had that, and I know somehow she found out I was interested in radios, so she called up my mom and said, "Tell Terry to come down and pick up this radio at my apartment."
Nice.
So my Uncle Harold, he had a car. We didn't have a car going, so my Uncle Harold drove me down there, and he went with me, and we picked up this radio.
Okay.
So that was a real highlight of my life.
I bet. So aunts and uncles. How many aunts and uncles were living in the area?
Uncle Harold, and let me see. My grandpa and his 2 brothers came to Coppercliff, and they all stuck around. And their offspring were my dad, my Uncle Harold stayed in Coppercliff, and I had an Uncle Bill in Lively.
Yeah.
And a couple of aunts in Coppercliff whose husbands had died.
Yeah.
And basically that's it, about 5 or 6, I guess.
So when
at
you
the
had
moment.
family get-togethers for Christmas, Easter, and that sort of thing, would they all come over, or did you guys do
At Christmas, basically at Christmas, Uncle Harold would come up. That's the only person we saw at Christmas. He and his family, they come
Yeah.
up for the afternoon. We'd have coffee and desserts and stuff like that. Basically, we stayed to ourselves over the holidays. We couldn't afford to have a whole pile of people in there
no?
because space was limited and finances were limited too. Although we never suffered over Christmas. We always had lots to eat, and Granny always made lots of baking and stuff ahead of time.
Yeah.
All kinds of goodies to have.
Was Grandma's family around at that time, or?
No, they were all in. Her parents were in Mattawa on the farm. They had
Yeah.
a farm in Mattawa,
Yeah.
just east of North Bay on Highway 17.
Okay.
They spent their lives down there, and they both died down there.
Oh.
So
Okay.
and her she had some gee, how many brothers? Two, at least two brothers.
Yeah.
And a sister. Her sister lived in Levac. She was married to Uncle Toivo, and he worked in Levac. He was chief electrician at the mines in Levac, and so she was up there, and well, she ended up there, but they had boarding houses too around and about.
Yeah.
And her other brother was in North Bay. He was he worked on the farm, then he went into studied to be an electrician, then he became an electrical contractor, and he did very well at that. He made a lot of money and raised 6 kids, did a good job at that. Her
Nice.
other brother was in Shanty Bay, which is just outside Barrie here. He was working at GE, had a big appliance factory in Barrie in the 50s and 60s, and he was a shop supervisor there.
Okay.
And again, he had 5 or 6 kids they raised. They had a big house actually close by the water in Shanty Bay. We drive by it every once in a while. And I remember staying there one time. It was a great old house.
Yeah.
In summertime, they had a big enclosed, they had a veranda all the way around 2 sides of the house. And above that was a closed-in veranda.
Mm.
So it was so hot in the house, most the kids slept in the veranda.
Yeah.
Because the windows could open and the breeze would go through. So that was kind of nice. We stayed there one time, 1959.
Yeah.
When Grandpa got his 55 Pontiac, we went on a tour down to Shanty Bay, down to Kingston, and up to North Bay and back home. So that was
Road trips.
that's the first and only road trip we had.
Yeah.
Andre.
Say, could I sorry to interrupt you. Would you mind shifting your tablet back a little bit? Every time you shift in your seat, there's a skip in the video.
I'm sorry, I'm leaning right over this thing.
Yeah,
I'm
there
sorry.
we go. That's a bit better.
I should lean back. I'm leaning over
well, whatever's comfortable.
Over the desk. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so what did Grandma do for fun? What did Eiley do for fun?
I didn't hear that.
Sorry, my question was, what did Eiley do for fun? Did she have any hobbies?
Her hobbies. Cooking, looking after kids, and knitting.
Yeah.
She was a big knitting person. She did knitting, crocheting, tatting. She was raised on a farm, so she knew how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Baking was a big thing. She did lots of baking not only for us, but for church organizations and stuff.
Yeah.
And she and Grandpa used to go out dancing and socializing with friends that they had.
Okay. Where did they go dancing?
Quite often. Different clubs in Sudbury.
Yeah.
There were many clubs, and I think they met at a dance there. I can't remember the details, but they were. It was quite a social bunch that they were friends with, so they were always doing stuff together. Okay, just pardon me for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
I've got to help Beth.
I'm gonna pause the recording here. All right, we're back to recording. So grandma was basically baking and all that sort of stuff. And you mentioned basically for church. How often did you guys go to church when you were a kid?
Not terribly often.
No?
We Christmas, Easter, a couple of times in between.
Yeah,
Never in the summer. We were always gone in the summer up to Windy Lake.
yeah. What denomination were you officially?
United Church. Went to United Church.
Yeah.
Probably that's because of where my grandpa Heale went.
Okay.
Charlie.
Was the church? I mean, obviously you guys weren't going very much, but it sounds like grandma was very involved in it. Was it like a big part of like was she a big part of the community, so to speak?
Not really. She just
No?
helped out when they had bake sales and stuff. She provided baking
Okay.
and knitting. She provide goods for the knitting table and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So
What
she
about
was involved in that. She wasn't down there every day doing stuff.
No,
She was busy trying to run a household.
I bet. I bet. So she was mainly in charge of running the household while grandpa was off working.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. All right. So typically grandpa would get home at like what, maybe 5 in the evening, 6 in the evening?
Oh, 10 after 5 or so, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we'd have supper and hang out in the evening. And before television, we had radio and we just like chatted and did family stuff together.
Yeah.
After TV, we got hung up watching TV.
Yeah.
When there was decent programs on.
When did you get your first television?
1955. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
1955. Big Admiral box TV showed up, 21-inch. That
Yeah.
was a big TV, black and white.
Yeah.
And at first, we had rabbit ears, and reception wasn't very good. Then
Okay.
Grandpa got an outside aerial, so he and I attached it to the chimney up on top of the house. Got
Yeah.
it set up there. Ran a two conductor wire down from there, and I forget how we got it into the living room where the TV was, but we fished it in there somehow.
Okay.
That worked pretty good. So once we got it, oriented in the right direction,
Huh.
it worked pretty well. I remember one winter, had a very, cold, miserable night, and the wire up at the top of the antenna became detached, so we had no signal. And this is up on top of the roof. Now that's not wasn't fun
No.
going up there. And
Especially in the
take
winter,
these
right?
wires, you had to skin the wires, to get the plastic off the bare
Yeah.
wires. Then you had to unscrew the terminals, put the wires on, and do them back up.
In the
And
cold.
with big heavy gloves, so that was no picnic. And
Yeah.
it was cold up there, and we had to put a ladder up the roof. Grandpa had an extension ladder
Yeah.
with 2 pieces, and one piece we got up onto the porch roof.
Yeah.
And from there, we had to hang the ladder up on the top roof with the metal tabs that held the 2 pieces together, so they would hook over the top.
Yeah.
And Grandpa hooked the ladder on, and then I shimmied up the ladder and got this thing hooked back up. And don't forget, this was at night.
Yep.
There wasn't much light around, a couple of street lights, down the street.
So you opted to fix that in the evening, like when it basically went down, rather than wait till for the next
Well,
day?
no, we had no idea what was wrong with it
Oh.
until we had no signal.
Ah.
Then we searched around, we found out, oh, look at the wires hanging down. Guess what?
Ha.
But anyway, there's no such thing as zip ties to tie the wire to the mast.
Yeah.
And, electrical tape didn't work very well in the cold.
No.
So,
no.
we learned that lesson. When it got better, we got pieces of wire and we wired it to the mast to hold it together. So we didn't have that problem again, but we weren't going to do that in the middle of the night. So and it was cold. I remember that. It was cold up there. Whoa.
I bet. So,
Cold.
I heard at one point that you guys had a dog.
Yeah, we had a couple of dogs, actually. We had way back when, a terrier type dog that we grew up with.
Yeah.
And eventually he got hit by a car behind the
Oh,
house and killed. And that was the end of him. But we had him for a long time.
yeah,
And he used to ride, he'd go up to the lake with us. He used to enjoy. I think we got pictures of him standing on the deck of the boat,
yeah.
Grandpa's old red boat. And he used to love doing that. And originally, when we had that 31 Pontiac, it had running boards on it.
The
And,
running board story. I was going to ask that.
and Grandpa had a fence that attached to the running board, just an expansion type fence,
Yeah.
just for holding stuff on. So put the dog on the running board and put the fence up, and away we went. And when we got near the lake there, the dog wandered outside the fence and eventually fell off the car. And I forget, he broke something, his collarbone or something. But anyway, had to get him patched up with the vet.
Yeah,
But anyway, he survived.
yeah.
And
That was the first dog or the second dog?
that was the first dog that we
Yeah.
grew up with. The second dog was Jan's dog. He had a little black dog that actually we got down at North Bay at my uncle's house.
Yeah.
Their dog had a litter of pups, and Jan wanted a dog, so we drove down there and got this little dog. And I'm really not. You have to talk to Jan. I'm not sure what happened to that dog. I don't
You know,
think he
my
survived
plan is
either.
to do this again with Jan and Diane and even my mom
Yeah.
at
So
some
you want
point.
to see if our stories are the same.
See if they line up. Well, I should ask that question, Ed. What's your favorite Ron story growing
Like
up as a
Ron.
kid? Yeah.
Oh, Ron. Oh, yeah. Favorite Ron story was Ron and I went hunting quite a bit down in
Okay.
Lake Nipissing,
Yeah.
and we used to stay inside what they called Cache Bay, which was a good marshy area for ducks and stuff. And they had a channel that went out into the big lake. So Ron decided we'll go down to the big lake and see if there's any more ducks out there. 'Cause usually they draft up on the big lake.
Yep.
So we went out there one day, and it was pretty foggy up there. So we were hugging along the shore, and my dad had Dad's brand new 10 horsepower motor. It was hardly a year old, chugging along the shore, and wouldn't you know, we hit some rocks and just smashed the bottom of that motor. And oh boy, it was
done.
rough. Anyway, Ron didn't have the on those motors back then. You had a lever you could put down to lock the motor down, so when
Right.
you were back up, it wouldn't raise up in the air. And Ron had that on, and he didn't take it off when you put it in forward. And if it was off when you were in forward, when you hit something, the motor would kick up
Yep.
out of the way. But when it's on, it would not kick up. So it just hit the rocks, and it just chewed up the propeller.
Ouch.
And got stopped, and found out where we were, and got back to the campsite, brought the thing back home,
Yeah.
and brought it back into the basement. And I think Ron decided he better get a new propeller for it. It was pretty chewed up.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only damage. Inside in the gear case in the bottom, it was damaged as well.
Oh, geez.
Didn't find that out until the spring, until the grease in the gear case got softer. Then we found out that the gears were also destroyed. So I had to take the whole bottom off the engine down to the shop in Coppercliff. The guy put new gears in it and new bearings and fixed it all up and put it back on the motor, and it was fine after that. But that was probably a couple of $100 repair, I would think.
How old were you guys when that happened?
I was about maybe 16.
Yeah.
Was around be 6 more years, maybe 22.
Okay.
So
How
anyway,
did you guys get into hunting? Was that something that your dad
Grandpa,
introduced you
Grandpa
to?
was a big hunter. Grandpa was a big hunter.
Yeah.
He and his buddies did duck hunting from day one, from the 1930s and 40s down on Lake Nipissing.
Yeah.
They go down there and canoe down the Vev River into the marsh, set up and shoot ducks till the cows came home. There were all kinds of ducks down there. And back then, there were no limit on how many ducks you could take in a day.
Well,
when we were there, you could take 5 ducks, and that was all.
And again, this fed the family too, didn't it?
Grandpa could fill the canoe with ducks. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
In fact, when he worked at the copper refinery, the manager at the copper refinery liked to have duck dinner.
Huh.
So one year, Grandpa says he sent my dad, and his best friend from the refinery, sent them down to Lake Nipissing for a week to hunt ducks,
Nice.
paid for by the company.
Huh.
So anyway, away they went. They had a great time down there. They
Oh, that.
got a boatload full of ducks. They brought them back home and took them to the copper refinery, and the girls in the cafeteria had to clean the ducks. They weren't too happy about that. Anyway, the manager said, clean the ducks.
Nice.
So that's
funny.
what they did. So he got all his ducks. He got enough ducks for all winter.
Jeez.
So anyway, that was interesting to hear that story.
I bet. The,
So we did lots of duck hunting, both up on by Azilda. There was Whitewater Lake. We went up there quite often.
Yeah.
And mostly Lake Nipissing. But should have come down here. There's lots of ducks down here on the by Penetanguishene. I worked out there on a cottage for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And there are ducks and geese all over the place. You could knock them out of the air with a stick.
Yeah, we have a lot of them up here too in Ottawa. Quite a bit. I'm always amazed when they're flying overhead that we're not getting carpet bombed by these things when they're going by. Very grateful that they don't do that. But I'm running into this 1 minute timer thing again, basically with this recording. So what I want to do is we can cap it off here, and then I think we'll be good for the morning for the day.
Okay.
I want to have a whole video just dedicated to Windy Lake. And what I'll do is at that point, I'll get the technical stuff sorted out. And this is going to cut out any second then. But yeah, we'll do that basically, and we'll go from there. So
call me or text me when you want to go again.
For sure, I'll give you a call. Thank you again for your time.
Okay, Andre.
And I'll put this up on YouTube. I've already sent you a link to the first one.
Yeah.
And I'll put this one up, and let me know how you think.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
You too. Take care. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.